2,000 dead. That is the number currently circulating through the few encrypted channels still making it out of Tehran. It is a number that should be leading every broadcast, front paging every newspaper, and halting every diplomatic conversation in Washington. But it isn't the only number that matters today. While the streets of Iran are burning, and while the internet remains severed for millions of citizens, a specific diplomatic lever has been pulled that changes the trajectory of this entire conflict. We are told by the wires that the President of the United States has issued a statement. Help is on its way. A vague promise? A rhetorical flourish? Usually, yes, but look closer at the timeline. At almost the exact moment that statement went public, another piece of information slipped through the cracks of the 24-hour news cycle. The White House did not just issue a statement. They canceled scheduled high-level meetings with Iranian officials. The diplomatic off-ramp has been closed. This isn't just about a protest movement anymore. It isn't just about the one-year anniversary of Ibrahim Raisi's death. This is the moment where the gears of geopolitical strategy grind against the reality of a massacre. The regime has cut the lights, the death toll has spiked, and the United States has just signaled that it is done talking. Welcome to the Daily Brief. Let's look at what is actually happening. If you are watching the legacy networks today, you are seeing a very specific framing of these events. You are seeing images of fire. You are seeing shaky cell phone footage, likely days old. You are hearing the tragic personal stories of those lost in the crackdown. And let me be clear, those stories are vital. The human cost is the most immediate reality of this crisis. But here is what the mainstream coverage is omitting. They are framing this as a spontaneous eruption of anger, an emotional outburst triggered solely by the anniversary of the former president's death. They are treating it as a contained internal crisis. This narrative technique is known as localization. By framing this as a purely domestic sorrow, the media avoids discussing the external leverage being applied. They are minimizing the economic warfare that has set the stage for this explosion. According to reporting from the Washington Post, the Iranian economy is in free fall. Inflation is rampant. This is not just political dissatisfaction. This is a survival crisis. The media is showing you the fist raised in the air, but they are ignoring the empty wallet in the pocket. Furthermore, consider the timing manipulation regarding the U.S. response. The legacy outlets are focusing heavily on the president's rhetoric. They are debating the tone of help is on its way. They are bringing on pundits to analyze whether this language is inflammatory or supportive. They are largely ignoring the tangible action of canceling the meetings reported by CTV News. Why? Because canceling a meeting is bureaucratic. It's boring television. It doesn't bleed, so it doesn't lead. But in the world of statecraft, declining to sit at the table is a louder scream than any tweet. The establishment media wants you to feel sad about the deaths. They want you to feel outrage at the repression, but they are hesitant to connect the dots between the collapse of the Iranian rial, the systematic internet blackout, and the sudden shift in U.S. foreign policy. They are presenting a tragedy. We need to look at the strategy. Let's strip away the adjectives and look strictly at the confirmed data points. Here is what we know based on the reports available as of this morning. First, the casualty figures. Multiple sources, including CTV News and Euronews, are now reporting that the death toll has spiked to at least 2,000 people. To put that in perspective, that is a catastrophic escalation compared to previous unrests in recent years. This is not crowd control. This is a liquidation of dissent. Second, the communications blackout. The BBC has confirmed a near-total internet shutdown across Iran. This is a standard regime tactic to prevent organization and hide evidence of atrocities. However, the BBC also reports a critical countermove. Starlink terminals are being smuggled into the country. We have specific data on this. The cost of a terminal has skyrocketed on the black market. Smugglers are moving this hardware across borders to circumvent the digital blockade. This confirms that the resistance is logistical, not just ideological. Third, the U.S. position. We have the direct quote from President Trump, verified by Reuters and The Guardian. The statement reads, "I am with you. I will always be with you. Help is on its way." He also explicitly told protesters to do not back down. This is a deviation from standard diplomatic caution. Typically, U.S. administrations urge restraint on both sides during the early days of such conflicts to preserve back channel options. That language is absent here. And the most critical piece of evidence regarding U.S. intent comes from CTV News. President Trump has canceled meetings with Iranian officials. This establishes a clear timeline. Protests escalate on the anniversary of Raisi's death. The death toll crosses the 2,000 threshold. The U.S. administration receives this intelligence. Diplomatic meetings are scrapped. The public statement, "Help is on its way," is released. Here is what we do not know. We do not know the form that help will take. The administration has offered no specifics. Is it financial? Is it cyber support to break the blackout? Is it new sanctions? We do not know the exact composition of the protesters. While the Raisi anniversary is the spark, the economic data suggests a broader coalition of the working class and the youth. We also do not have verified footage of the last 24 hours due to the blackout. The death toll of 2,000 is likely an estimate that could be significantly higher once the digital curtain is lifted. We must remain disciplined. The number 2,000 is the reported floor, not the ceiling. The cancellation of meetings is a verified fact. The promise of help is a verified statement. Everything else currently floating on social media must be treated with extreme caution. Now, look at how the players on the board are reacting to these moves. The Iranian regime's reaction is predictable, yet revealing. They are tightening the grip on information, which is an admission of weakness. Strong governments do not need to unplug the internet. But the reaction in the West is where the hypocrisy becomes evident. Watch the European capitals in the coming hours. For years, European leaders have tried to maintain the JCPOA framework, trying to keep trade channels open and diplomacy alive. They have often criticized hardline U.S. policies as escalatory. With 2,000 dead, their silence is becoming deafening. They are caught in a contradiction. If they condemn the regime too harshly, they admit their engagement strategy failed. If they stay silent, they are complicit in the massacre. The domestic political opponents of the president are also in a difficult narrative bind. Typically, the opposition characterizes this administration as isolationist or erratic. However, help is on its way is an interventionist stance. You will likely see a sudden shift in the narrative from these critics. They cannot defend the Iranian regime, so they will attack the method of support. They will argue that the president's rhetoric is reckless or endangering the protesters, despite the fact that the protesters are already being killed by the thousands without U.S. input. We are also seeing a reaction from the markets. The economic instability mentioned by the Washington Post is being exacerbated by this uncertainty. The real is reacting to the political reality that the U.S. is disengaging from talks. The regime can shoot protesters, but they cannot shoot the laws of economics. This exposes the fundamental hypocrisy of the establishment view. They prioritize stability over all else. But there is no stability when 2,000 people are dead in the streets. The illusion of order has been shattered, and now everyone is scrambling to rewrite their talking points to fit a reality they tried to ignore. Based on the evidence, specifically the cancellation of the meetings and the explicit promise of help, I am making the following prediction for the next 72 to 96 hours. Expect the United States to announce a specific technical intervention regarding internet access. The president said, "Help is on its way." In the context of a blockade, help rarely means troops, and it rarely means food, which the regime would confiscate. The BBC report on Starlink terminals is the key indicator. The administration has an incentive to make good on its promise without committing to kinetic warfare. Facilitating communication strikes at the regime's greatest asset: secrecy. Therefore, I predict we will see a formal announcement or a very loud leak, sanctioning or funding the technology needed to bypass the Iranian internet blackout. This allows the administration to look strong, keeps the promise, and directly undermines the regime's control without firing a shot. This matters because it shifts the conflict from physical space to information space. If the internet comes back on, the death toll confirmation will rise, and the pressure on European allies to abandon the regime will become insurmountable. The blackout in Tehran is designed to do one thing: stop the flow of truth. There are forces, both abroad and here at home, that prefer these stories remain complicated, vague, and distant. They don't want the hard numbers. They don't want the timeline. If you want to help us fight the algorithm and spread the truth that the establishment tries to bury, you know what to do. Stay skeptical. Stay tuned.